My interest in reading this book, Daniel, began when I learned that several of our family met the wife of Coach Tandy Gerelds at an assisted living facility near us. She was the moving force behind the success of Coach. I hope this conversation will pique your interest as it did mine in this particular story. High school football and racial healing sounds like an unlikely combination, right? But in the 1970s, Birmingham, Alabama, one team's transformation became the catalyst for change that nobody saw coming.
That's fascinating, Pappy. What exactly happened during that time?
Picture this: Woodlawn High School, freshly desegregated and practically a powder keg of tension. The football team was completely divided, with black and white players who could barely stand to be in the same locker room together. The situation was so volatile that coaches were more focused on preventing fights than running plays.
So, how did they manage to turn things around? That sounds like an almost impossible situation.
Well, here's where it gets interesting. A sports chaplain named Hank Irwin came to speak to the team, and something extraordinary happened. Nearly the entire team experienced what they described as a spiritual awakening. We're talking about 40 plus young men who went from barely speaking to each other to praying together.
Hmm, that's quite a transformation. But how did it actually play out on the field?
That's where Tony Nathan enters the picture. He was one of the first black players at Woodlawn, and his combination of athletic talent and humble leadership started breaking down barriers. The team went from being the symbol of the school's division to becoming this incredible example of unity.
You know what strikes me about this? It seems like the change wasn't forced or mandated, it happened organically.
Exactly. And that's what made it so powerful. These players weren't just following rules or putting on a show. They developed this motto: one team, one spirit, and it became their way of life. The transformation was so visible that it spread through the entire school and into the community.
Tell me more about how the community responded to these changes.
Well, it all culminated in this historic game against Banks High School at Legion Field. Get this, it drew the largest crowd ever for a high school game in Birmingham's history. We're talking about 42,000 people coming together in a city known for racial division, all cheering for this team that had become a symbol of hope.
And that must have had quite an impact on Coach Gerald's, too.
Oh man, his story is fascinating. He wasn't just managing the team's transformation. He went through his own profound change. His son later wrote about how his father's experience affected their entire family. It's like this ripple effect that kept spreading outward.
Looking at this through today's lens, what do you think are the biggest lessons we can learn?
I think the most powerful lesson is that real change often starts in unexpected places. We're always looking for top down solutions to social problems, but Woodlawn shows how transformation can begin with a small group of people willing to see things differently.
That's really interesting. Do you think something like this could happen in today's more polarized world?
I actually think it's more possible than ever. While our divisions might seem deeper, the Woodlawn story reminds us that change happens at the personal level first. When people have genuine experiences of connection with those they've been taught to fear or mistrust, that's when real transformation begins.
So, what happened to these players later in life?
Many of them went on to become leaders in their communities. Tony Nathan had a successful NFL career with the Miami Dolphins, but he always pointed back to his Woodlawn experience as what shaped his character. The relationships these players formed lasted well beyond high school. They still keep in touch today, decades later.
That's remarkable, Pappy. It really wasn't just about football, was it?
Not at all, Daniel. It was about showing that even in our most divided moments, transformation is possible. These young men proved that when we're willing to see past our differences and connect as human beings, extraordinary things can happen. And maybe that's exactly what we need to remember today.